Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed yet again, this time out of Black History Month, as even it could not possibly save it at this point, and deep into March the 20th. Now, I know what you're all thinking, but please, contain your disappointment. I know many of you will be heartbroken by this news, for more or less wholesome reasons, but this is very much so a strategic decision from Ubisoft, who right now are looking through their company and wondering how the hell they're going to get out of this one. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of the last big trump cards they have left. It is, kind of Schrödinger's video game at the moment as far as Ubisoft and its many potential investors, if not indeed outright buyers, are concerned. So long as Assassin's Creed Shadows is not out yet, it remains a potential hit. As I've talked about on multiple occasions, the Assassin's Creed franchise is still relatively large. There is a fairly sizable, basically pre-installed user base who will buy this game regardless of any online controversy. And so long as that remains true, Ubisoft's position in negotiations via any other companies remains far stronger, especially as well that I've heard some rumblings on the back end of Ubisoft that they're looking to hire special advisors, which are in essence going to go through the company and see how they can capitalize on it, shall we say, to figure out the best ways to maximize their effect, their future worth to potential buyers or investors sniffing about. This, of course, is not particularly surprising, as Ubisoft is in a little bit of a dire need of cash, if not indeed an outright purchase, but Ubisoft does have some requirements here as well. They probably want to have the ruling family, the Guillemots, or whatever French pronunciation, remain in charge, and I don't think they've really done the company a whole lot of favors, so I imagine a lot of potential buyers, particularly Tencent, for example, might not be enthused by that prospect, and thus, Ubisoft needs to sweeten this pill for them to swallow. As, I guarantee you, Tencent is interested. Right now, China is looking at the Western gaming market, which is enormous in terms of profit, and is salivating as they see it as weak, and it is, and fractured, which it is. If, as Marvel Rivals has demonstrated, all they really need to do to corner the market is, well, put a hot blonde chick in tight-fitting clothing, then, well, that's something China can do. There are many other things it cannot, like put blood in its video games, for example, but that is something they can do. And with Ubisoft, they have access to a whole host of well-known IPs that they could expand upon and make profitable again very easily. Not to mention, if they were to pick up the company, they would benefit from an enormous amount of positive PR by simply not doing what Ubisoft has been doing for the last few years. It's a goldmine waiting to happen for anyone with a wallet big enough to swoop in and take it all over. And so long as Assassin's Creed remains unreleased, it's kind of Schrödinger's video game, right? As far as investors or potential buyers are concerned, it could still be a success. As the Assassin's Creed franchise are still quite large, of course, they still have a sizable pre-installed quote-unquote user base to sell to, and all they need to do is allow this negative PR to die down as much as possible. That is probably the primary reason around the current delay, although February is also looking to be a remarkably tightly filled month for video games, with a lot of very big titles, including, I think, Monster Hunter getting a title in February, and seeing as this game is obviously wying a bit for the Asian market, they really do not want to release at the same time as a Monster Hunter title. That's just a terrible idea all around. And of course, they're going to make some justifications for how this will allow them to fix some more bugs, or, perhaps, and I think as well, The rumours that have kind of been spiralling around the game about Ubisoft beginning to realise their mistakes a little bit is leading at least some people to think that they might be attempting to change something fundamental with the game. I don't think so, because at the end of the day, the second delay is only a delay of something like 2 months, which in video game design terms is nothing. Pretty much absolutely nothing. Oh, they can do some polish in this time. They can fix some bugs, iron out some problems, make sure the game is actually, functional on launch. That would be nice. And they can do everything they can to give it a smooth release into the wild, which will, at the very least, cut off some of the easier critique. If the game arrives on the Steam storefront and is absolutely broken, won't even start, well, that's not going to help it, now is it? But if it at least runs well, if it comes out and all of the people who bought it without caring about the online discourse can play it, well, they'll still be happy. That's the thing. A lot of people still don't give a crap about the culture war nonsense on the internet. And for an established franchise like this, that is their saving grace. The negative PR will affect a lot of people, but not everyone. And if they can push back the release long enough to the point where most people will have kind of forgotten about it, maybe, just maybe, it can sneak out underneath the radar without anybody really noticing and get its, sales whatever it can. Especially if it gets a good first week, for example, that will make Ubisoft's position vis-a-vis any potential other companies a lot stronger. And I've also heard some rumblings that they're planning a bit of a PR offensive in the coming weeks, where they're going to start sending out preview copies to, pre-approved influencers of the correct persuasion. And they were also mentioning about bringing in some, not content creators, but people who can maybe give the game a certain veneer of authenticity, as a bit of the argument of it being historical, or what's that stupid term they use these days? Historical fiction? They do need to try and kind of build that up a bit, especially after it took quite a beating in Japan, one of its main markets, to the point where even the Japanese parliament was discussing the game. This is not good PR at all. They're also probably hoping to release some more gameplay and try and actually entice people into playing it. I'm not entirely convinced. I remain very much 50-50 on this game. On the one hand, the Assassin's Creed user base is probably, it's kind of like a pseudo mini COD user base, in that they probably don't care too much about the online discourse. An Assassin's Creed Japan game is something that a lot of fans have been wanting for a very long time. In fact, you could easily argue that this is kind of like Ubisoft's oh god, we're a little bit in danger now, let's give people what they finally want kind of move, but which they then messed up just a little bit with poor timing. But a lot of those people will buy the game regardless, and if you can get at least a week or two of good sales, well, that will help Ubisoft a whole lot, particularly after failures like Star Wars Outlaw, as I guarantee you as well, a lot of potential investors, or even again outright buyers, are going to be asking some pointed questions like, hold on, you had the Star Wars IP? And you still didn't earn money? What the hell did you do? Does the game dispense bees into the player's room? And hey, Star Wars Outlaws as well was primarily a victim of negative PR, even more so than the actual game itself. I actually think Ubisoft is doing the right thing here. Now, if they were extra clever, they would take this opportunity to launch a bit of a surprise offensive. If I was Ubisoft right now, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, we've already created a negative PR buzz around this. How can we get around this? Well, let's just shotgun the game out there. Who's been talking negatively about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Send them a review copy. I mean, we already know what their opinions are going to be. They're probably going to be negative. We can't prevent that. We can't stop them from buying the game, especially as it will almost certainly be a rather cost-effective game to cover, shall we say. But just by giving them something, you've immediately activated that little neuron in your lizard brain that goes, gift, gift, gift happy, like Ubisoft more now. And it would probably surprise the shit out of people too. I wouldn't be surprised if that might actually start a little bit of a positive buzz along the lines of, well, hold on. Has Ubisoft realized they've done something wrong here? Has Ubisoft, are they about to turn around? Could they be based? It would at the very least be better than what they're currently doing, although I would say a third delay now. Delay it now second time, allow it to come close, and then delay it for another 2-3 weeks when you're 1 or 2 weeks away, and just wipe it as much as possible from the public consciousness and sneak it out quietly. I don't think it's cooked just yet, but we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Till next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for listening. I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.